Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Usually, when members rise in this House to speak to legislation, they do so with energy and exuberance. Today is very different. While as a mother of two young women finding their way in the world, I really appreciate the member from Kamloops Thompson Caribou for introducing this legislation. Mind you, it's troubling that such legislation is even necessary, though it undeniably is. Far too often, intimate partner violence has persisted as a hidden crisis in our country. It is often left unspoken, pushed to the margins of public discourse, and too easily overlooked. In many communities, particularly those already facing systemic barriers, it remains especially difficult to name, confront, or escape. Too many Canadians endure this violence in silence, whether it's due to stigma, manipulation, and coercion, or a lack of confidence in the system meant to protect them. Victims are too often left feeling unseen and unsupported, regardless of whether they come forward. This is happening to our friends, our families, and in communities across Hastings, Lennox, Addington, Tyendinaga, and our entire nation. It is this reality that brings us to this debate today. Legislation like C-225 represents a strong step towards acknowledging the distinct and serious nature of intimate partner violence. It signals to the tens of thousands of Canadians that the government recognizes these harms and is prepared to equip law enforcement and the justice system with the tools needed to respond effectively and hold perpetrators accountable. Intimate partner violence and related issues such as coercive control have occupied a significant part of my time here in Ottawa, especially during the last Parliament, as I had the privilege to chair the Standing Committee on the Status of Women, where we studied these issues extremely closely and thoroughly. We completed studies on gender-based violence and femicides against women, girls, and gender-diverse peoples, as well as coercive behaviour. The committee prides itself, and I hope it still does, on its ability to put partisan differences aside and focus on the matter at hand. Canadians, especially marginalized Canadians, suffering in silence. I know that this spirit of cooperation, championed by my predecessor, Karen Vecchio, will continue with the member for Bellechasse, Les Lévis, who I want to congratulate on her recent election to that position. I'd also like to thank my successor, the member for Sarnia-Lambton, for her work in the chair over the past year. Despite being one of the lesser-known committees, FIVO is, by far, the committee with the most to teach members in this place about working cooperatively and collaboratively, a lesson I do hope is heeded and remembered as the government moves to amend committee composition. I think it's particularly fitting that the sponsor chose the Standing Committee on the Status of Women as the committee to review this legislation, because that is what we need, a nonpartisan approach to protect not just women suffering in abusive relationships, but men and non-binary Canadians as well. As I was preparing this speech, Mr. Speaker, I went back and took a look at the witness testimony at the Standing Committee on the Status of Women to see what was said, what arguments were put forward both by members and witnesses as well. And I was particularly struck by the panel that appeared the very first day, along with a sponsoring member from the sponsoring member, and I'm going to first acknowledge the conversation shared by Debbie Henderson. She spoke about the murder of her daughter Bailey. She made the argument better than I ever could. So I would like to repeat a portion of her harrowing testimony. The system currently continues to extend the trauma and torment by forcing families to wait and see whether charges will be upgraded to first-degree murder. Our family had 4.5 months of stress and anxiety waiting for Bailey's murderer to have his charges upgraded to first degree. No family should have to live with the fear of wondering whether after a conviction they'll be forced at a parole hearing in 10 years to face the person who cruelly stole their loved one. Given the severity and predictability of this type of violence, these murders should be treated as what they truly are: intentional, targeted, and devastating acts. Killings in the context of intimate partner violence should be classified as automatic first-degree murders with the opportunity to apply for parole only after 25 years. We must also begin labeling violence as what it is. Assault against an intimate partner is not the same as a bar fight or an altercation with a stranger. It's part of a pattern that is rooted in control, fear, and escalating harm. Assaults should be clearly identified as intimate partner assaults so that the justice system can properly recognize the heightened risk they carry. Language matters because recognition drives prevention. There also must be stronger safeguards at the point of release. Repeat offenders, especially those convicted of violence or threats against a partner, should not simply be released back into the community following police involvement. They should be required to appear before a judge and be properly assessed for risk, because when the system underestimates danger, families pay the price. There needs to be real accountability with a system that is meant to protect the vulnerable and prevent foreseeable tragedies. Bill C-225 represents an opportunity to close the gaps, to recognize the seriousness of intimate partner violence, and to prevent other families from experiencing this unimaginable loss. Bailey should be here. Her children should still have their mother. Our family should not be learning how to live with her permanent absence. Mr. Speaker, her words are crystal clear, and they make perfect sense. The murder of a partner is one of the most visceral, raw, intimate things one can do. It is not done in the heat of the moment. It is often the culmination of months, if not years, of verbal, emotional, and mental abuse. The final act in a series of escalating manipulation and exploitation, a literal living hell for far too many that only escape seems to be cold-blooded murder. Mr. Speaker, C-225 does not seek to, nor should it address every single element of intimate partner violence. It needs to be considered as part of the wider toolbox of public society in fighting this, a toolbox that needs to include education, prevention, and support for survivors and their families. This is an important piece of the puzzle. It sends the message that, God forbid, if you do this, if you violate the sanctity of trust, love, and commitment of your partner, your justice will be delivered. Not just to the perpetrator, but more importantly to the family and memory of the person that they took out of their lives. Mr. Speaker, this is not vengeance. This is closure. Thank you.
Resuming debate.